This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Well, it's been said before that we are what we eat. So I pose this question to you. What are you feeding your soul? What are you nourishing your mind with? What are you digesting? What's going on there? Could have a big impact on your life. Maybe why your life isn't where you want it to be at this point. Maybe why you keep hitting roadblocks. Maybe you haven't unlocked your potential. Maybe you don't have the abundance you think you deserve, or you deserve. Maybe it's what you're eating mentally. We're going to talk about that today. She is a strategic development coach and has a lot of deep insight on all of this, helping people transform their lives. She is Cindy Valente. She's back with us. How are you today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. It's great to be back.
It's got me wondering what my diet consists of these days in terms of us feeding our soul. You know, there's when you think of it that way, there's a lot of garbage going in, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. I think of coaching as nourishment, just like food feeds the body, life coaching feeds the soul.
Well, so many people that want to be healthy work with a nutritionist,
right?
Or diet coach, if you will.
Right.
Right. I look at you're that for the mind in terms of suggesting what goes in, what should not go in, and all of that. When we talk about feeding the soul, how would you give an example of that? How that can go wrong for some of us as well?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think that our daily habits are rush, rush, rush. And so we eat whatever is, we can get in a hurry. And then, for me, if I'm eating in a hurry or I'm on my phone when I'm eating, I don't remember that I ate. So then I go eat again. And then I'm not taking the time to let my mind and my body relax and take it all in, and we get into habits and, daily rituals of what we do every day. And I think that's a good focus to, start what's your daily morning ritual. Mine is coffee. So, I like coffee for the soul. Your mindset work is a daily ritual.
Why don't we start with the wake up? So you jump out of bed. Many of us are like, oh, I got to get going. Look what time it is. I've just spilled coffee. What kind of day is that going to be? Is this the start of one of those days? What else is going to happen next? Now, you just had that, essentially, that was breakfast for your brain. Breakfast for your brain. What'd you just feed yourself? A bunch of negative garbage.
Right.
And if you eat like CRAP, like literally eat like that, what do you think is going to happen? You're probably going to have digestion issues. You're probably not going to feel well. And I got to imagine if you're feeding your mind that, it's also been said that we are what we think. So you're asking your day to go that way. What next is going to happen, right?
Right. I mean, what you think is what you eat energetically.
Yeah.
Like journaling, meditation, whatever that is. But you've got, if you can keep if you can keep both in balance, and I know that's, it's hard for anybody to do that, but if you can keep reminding yourself that what I'm putting in my body is nourishing my mind and my soul. And so I feel good. And, at the end of the day, don't we all, the goal should be to, look as good as we feel. And feeling is, the priority.
So I'm going to pivot for just a moment because you said journaling. And I've struggled a little bit with this. I started keeping a journal. I'm embarrassed to say I ignored it for so long. And I started doing it, like maybe midsummer last year, mid to late summer. And I found myself writing a lot, but then I found myself writing just more negative things. And then I found myself not wanting to do it anymore because it was almost like you don't want to talk to that friend that's complaining all the time. so I kind of leaned off of it. But I don't want to say I'm not negative, but that's what that journal turned into be. Now we're talking about feeding the soul. Um, how does that look for you in terms of journaling? Should there be a balance of the good and maybe the negative? You know, because you want to get that stuff out as well.
Right.
I'm kind of lost. I really am.
Journaling is huge for me. I old school paper, pen paper, and I've gotten onto my computer, getting into some new files that, I can keep all my journaling. And I do have some of the same, anger and mad at somebody or something or a situation. But I find that once I write it down, it's out of my brain. And then I can get on with, whatever else I need to. And I know if it's negative, I don't revisit it. It's just on paper, it's gone. And there's no
Hmm,
reason to revisit it. And it's out of my brain.
interesting. The reason you journal is for the reasons that you just said. I was just getting afraid that I was jumping into a rabbit hole, but that's what it's there for. And like you
Right,
said, it's you just let it go. I mean, there are some people that will write a letter to themselves or that person that did them wrong and burn it and just
right,
release it to the universe. Like you
right,
said, you write it, it's gone, you move on. Now,
right,
that's not to say that years later you can't go back to it and look at.
right.
I think that's even if I go back to, yeah, what was I thinking last September? Wow, look at that. You know, I took a few days away and I was just sitting, watching, staring at the ocean, writing thoughts down. And I was getting descriptive. I'm sitting right here at this chair, angle of sun, you know, and I feel like I'm back there. So it's kind of cool to see your progression as well, you know, when you look back.
I agree 100%. I mean, I mean, if, once you feel strong enough, once you've got past that situation that made you, you know, angry or whatever, you go back a month, 6 months later and you read it and you think, oh, it's not that big a deal. But at the time,
Mm,
it was gigantic, and
hmm.
it was overtaking your thoughts.
When we talk about nourishing the mind to feed the soul, is it the negative that we're being that we should watch? Is that what we're talking about here, or is it always put the positive in? I don't even know if that's possible.
I think, one of the things that, I hear people all the time, and I'm sure I've said it too, I'm going to go eat my feelings. Well, what are you really trying to fill? You're not trying to fill your belly. You're trying to fill it with some intention, with, rest, peace, love, patience, whatever, but you're trying to fill a void, so if you can find out what that void is and feed it with intention and 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 if you can take the time, I Europeans eat the way Americans should eat. They take their time, they make an event out of eating, and I think they eat with intention. And I think we are more in a hurry, we're rushed, and so we don't get time to breathe in our brains, and we don't know what we're eating, we don't care what we're eating sometimes, and then it just turns into a vicious cycle of, well, I just ate this and now I feel terrible and now I'm beating myself up emotionally because I don't feel good. It's not about, weight or anything like that, but you just physically don't feel well. And I think that goes back to eating with intention and reminding yourself that with your mind needs to help control that. I mean, it goes back and forth. One works with the other.
I know what you're talking about eating intentionally, and yes, in other cultures, the meal is a big deal. Even if it could be a small meal, you focus on flavor as opposed to you just talking, whatever. Let me pound it down, or I'm in front of my computer meeting, and I would just share with you. This wasn't more than 3 years ago. Sitting here, 8 p.m. at night, getting late, working, gotta get something to eat. Ah, there's an Applebee's. I'll go up the corner. I had never gone out to eat by myself. That was the first. I'm not even kidding. Never did it. I felt awkward going in there, you know, walking up to the bar. There's other people by themselves eating. I'm like, you know, feel kind of like a loser. But anyway, um, when the food came, that beer and that meal were the best I've ever had at Applebee's, at anywhere, because I didn't have to give my attention to somebody else and I focused on it and I thought about things. And just to your point, we don't take the time to do any of that stuff typically in
Right,
our lives.
right. I mean, your soul needs flavor. So, don't live a bland life. I'll spice it up with purpose. I mean, I live in Arizona. I can get all the spicy food I want, and it's, it's great. And I love it. It feeds my craving for Mexican food, and it feeds my soul because I love it, and it's the whole package. So it's great.
So what are your suggestions if we want to eat the right thing for our mind, so to speak? That's I'm struggling with that. What on a daily basis? Now we talked about getting up early in the morning and starting your day on a positive note. Past that, what are your suggestions?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm not going to go into diet and all that kind of thing, but I truly think that, we all basically eat the same things every day. I mean, I know I do, and I go to the grocery store and I basically buy the same things. And, if it makes you feel good, then that's what you should eat, and if it's not as healthy as you want it to be, then, there's tomorrow. But, if it's keeping you balanced in your mind, then I think that that's good enough. It's not always going to be a perfectly healthy diet, but you've got to keep your mind at rest. So if your mind isn't thinking about, I shouldn't have eaten that, or I should be eating this, or, it takes up too much time. It's a time sucker to be uh, thinking about all these things. And, meal prep is also very mentally stimulating because you're focusing, you're creating healthy foods, just like if your refrigerator is all foods, meal prepped and everything you want to eat, you'll eat better because it's there, it's simple, and then you won't have the mental struggle of what should I eat? And then I go get something that's, not worth it, or something you'd rather not have. So I mean, it's all just, time management with food as well. If you can focus on putting all the food together with your mind, you feel good mentally and physically.
Where was the turning point for you, Cindy, where you realized that I got to change my brain food, so to speak?
Well, I know if I eat, if I start out with sweet stuff in the morning, or, that's, I drink coffee, I'll just drink it black because I know it'll be a black hole for me if I start putting cream and sugar and lattes and all that kind of thing. So I think it just starts with that. And I think if you start your day off with, things that you want, it leads to the rest of the day getting the things that you want and need, instead of just feeding yourself because you think you're hungry. You're not always hungry. Sometimes you're bored, sometimes you're anxious, you're
Mm.
mad, you know. So food comes into a play more than just being hungry, for sure.
Well, yeah, it's also a relationship. We have a
Right.
relationship with
Yeah.
everything. Um, should have a relationship with money. There is even some that suggest that you should visualize or even actually do it. Set a place setting for money. Money showing up here today. Like, I'm not even kidding. I've heard that a few times. Yeah, because you have a relationship with money. It should be a good relationship. You should be working
I know
together.
I know who's going to sit at my dinner table tonight.
Right. Who's showing up? Cash, cash. Johnny can no, just cash. Uh, how about the mental aspect of I'm thinking that we need to always be thinking the right thoughts if we are going to nourish our mind in that regard. Um, what are your thoughts overall on that?
Well, it goes back to nostalgia, tradition. What was your childhood like with eating? Were you sitting at a counter rushing around, or were you setting intention and making a memory bank of eating and uh, sitting at the dining room table? I know I grew up we didn't have counters at the kitchens. We just had a table, dining room table, and it was where all the meals were.
Hmm.
So for me, family dining is a ritual, a tradition, and it is good memories, and it's I think food anchors joy, nostalgia, and all the grounding and stability.
It really does bring back memories as you're talking about it, because I'm thinking about them, along the way, what was important in terms of food, like in my past.
Right.
But even just being intentional, when you're eating. Um, are you like deep into nutrition?
most of the time.
Yeah.
It's not a perfect science.
I derailed last week. I'm not even going to get into it. I'm usually really good. It started with a pizza. Haven't had it in a long time. 5 slices. I don't even know where I put that. And then 3 days later, I had another three out somewhere. That's my challenge. Once I start, I go in that wrong direction. And that's why, and not that I have an addictive personality, but it was just like late at night, like, yeah, let's go get a couple of slices. But I just had four the other day. But you know what? It's also comfort too.
Were you eating, so snacking late at night? It's more about soothing something, it's not, were you hungry when you wanted the pizza,
That's a great point. In a way, yes, but I've gotten into this not great habit of craving something late at night, roughly, 10:30 right before bed. Bad thing. I only started doing it the last couple of months. And I thought about it and I figured out why I think I'm doing it because I used to do morning radio for decades, decades. I only left it, maybe 3 years ago or so. And I would come home at about 12 noon and take a nap. Well, I got to eat lunch. So I would eat lunch and then take my nap. And I believe my brain went back to, oh, well, you're going to go to sleep. You're kind of tired. Yeah, just grab a little something there so you have something in your stomach. Worst thing you could ever do. I mean,
right,
it even screws up your sleep because your body's like,
right,
oh, we got to digest this right now. We're going to keep them awake a little bit longer. But I believe that's why I'm doing it. I'm working on getting off of that habit, but that's where I think I went back to it. But we're all creatures of habit, right?
right, right,
Everything is a habit. Everything we do, I believe, is.
right. Well, normally my cravings are salty foods. I mean, if somebody puts a cookie or French fries in front of me, I French fries all the way. But in the last like couple months, I've been on this sweet roll. It's ridiculous. And so I looked it up because I wanted to know what,
Ah,
kind of what that meant. So
ooh,
sweet foods relate to a desire for affection, reward, or joy. So I'm trying trying to put all that together. But I needed to know because I thought I did not understand why, Oreo cookies are looking pretty good to me these days.
interesting.
How
Now,
about your cravings? What are
the
your cravings?
um, you know, my go-to is a chocolate shake, and that goes right back to my childhood, like way back. Not even worth getting into the story, but there's something there. But I believe we forget it. We forget because the chocolate shake is very impactful in when I was very small. And I'll just be out, a couple of months ago. I haven't had a chocolate shake. You know what? I deserve another chocolate shake. Uh, I don't realize it until I think about it. And then it takes, that's why you like that. There is a connection, right? So like you just
Right.
said, you looked it up. Side note here, digression. Um, you said, salty, then the sweet. Magical is dipping fries in a chocolate shake.
I've heard that's pretty good. I've not done that yet.
I don't know what it is. Like if you even just go to Wendy's and get a
I
Frosty.
was just going to say Wendy's. That's the one that everyone says you got to do that.
Yeah, it's so convenient. Of course, they've got fries there, and the sweet and the salt and the
Right.
carby fries. There's just
Right.
something about it. I can't, I don't know what it is, but it's
A,
there.
com- a complete meal.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah. Well, there is a little protein in that shake, minimal, whatever it might be.
Right. Well,
Um,
the chocolate shake brings you back joy of some sort to your childhood, and that's where it goes. Your memory bank takes you back to that,
I'm
and it
going to say
still
it. I'm going
makes
to
you
share
feel
it.
good.
To your point, I'll share it. My parents got divorced when I was barely even born, and when I saw my dad, which was not that often, a little more frequently when I was much younger, like 3 or 4 years old. At the time, there was this thing where it was a cup and it had everything in there, and you just added milk and you would shake it up, and there's your chocolate shake, and it was fantastic. And he would bring that as a little thing. Hey, look what I got for you again.
Right.
If I didn't think about it, I would completely forget about that. But
Right.
I know that's the connection, that's the comfort, whatever that might be.
Right.
And the same thing, the people talk, number one comfort food, mac and cheese. So many kids have it,
Right.
when they were younger. Takes them on back. What's your comfort
And
food?
in college, there was a
And then
lot of
there's
mac and cheese in college.
ramen noodles.
Yeah, that too.
What's your suggestion if somebody wants to eat healthier and they just can't get there. And maybe there's reasons like we're talking about that is it's in their subconscious and they haven't made that realization. Is there a starting point to change it all up?
Well, I think your mindset is powerful, and it's how badly do you want it,
Mm,
and preparation, and like I said, with put meal prep. I know that if I have things that I should be eating in my refrigerator, and I'm hungry or I'm bored or something, I go pick out what I should be eating, and I think it's a good start for anybody, but it's hard to do. I mean, because we all go back to our comfort foods sometimes. But I think it's a starting, and I think truly back like what you said, start your day and do the best you can with what you put inside your body, and then the mind will relax. Your mind will focus on all the other things. Plus, it will be nourished, hopefully with something healthy that your brain needs to function through your day. And I think one begets the next. If you start out well, it continues throughout the rest of the day. And sometimes, if you start eating, crappy in the morning, the rest of the day is, fast food or something junky, and then, you feel terrible at the end of the day and like you can't sleep because your
mm.
stomach is trying to put all this and wonder why, your stomach's asking, why did you do this to me?
Yeah. Well, everything we're saying here, I love what you just said. How badly do you want it? Because if you start dissecting it, and that's your job, when somebody works with you, figuring out what is holding you back. You may want it bad. You want to lose weight. You want to eat well, but there may be something holding you back. Like, I don't deserve it. I don't deserve to feel good. I don't deserve to lose weight. That could be your mindset, and you're not even aware of it. You don't even know
Right.
it. You haven't dissected that.
Right. I mean, it goes with everything in life. I mean, how badly do you want it? And consistency and continuity is key. Day one is good, and then day two is better, and it gets easier. I mean, you gotta.
Mm,
I'm getting. If you decide you want to get off carbs, I mean, you crave them more when you know you can't have them,
mm.
and it's a mindset. You've just got to do distractions and go, eat something you should eat instead of what you shouldn't eat.
And accountability.
Oh,
That's the other one, and that's
yeah.
that's your job.
Right. Right.
you know, and also holding the mirror up. Why we do what we do. Um, the stuff we're talking about. I didn't think about that chocolate shake and the kid connection until we started talking about it. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that now. Cindy, what's the best way to connect with you?
My website, cindyvalente.com, and my social media, Instagram, TikTok is Cindy Valente Life Coach. And everybody remember, just be it.
Be it Valent, Cindy Valente. Thank you so much for being here today. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. And I'll meet you at Wendy's.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.